Thanks for joining us. In today's episode, she's done it again. Shifting from don't tisk my intro. Shifting from assimilation to activation, bumper cars, and the My Impact tool. Hello, Derek.
All right, Danielle.
We were just talking about
such intrigue with your intros.
We were just talking about the fall,
Right,
and how awesome it is.
Yes.
But you're inheriting the not awesome part of fall.
So whether you're talking about my sickness,
I am talking about your sickness.
Whether this has to do with fall
your head cold sickness,
or a new,
yeah,
which sickness? I think it has less to do with fall and more to do with a grandchild who is now going to like other children's things like readings at the library and those sorts of things. And so she came over with a pretty slimy face on Friday.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
I couldn't resist just doing all what I normally do with her.
Of course.
So kissing and, having her
cesspools.
eat off of my fork and, all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure whatever it was, I got it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So I'm feeling it.
Dax was born in January, and I don't think I saw people for like half a year.
Right.
Because it was just cold on cold and sick. And
it's funny, like it doesn't really ever stop either because it's like Aiden is in college at Ohio State and it's like the first week into college.
Yeah.
Everybody's sick.
Yeah.
And so it's like anytime these
What
people.
are we doing?
I don't know what's happening.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
So,
I hope you feel
hi, Danielle.
better.
Thanks.
Hi.
Everything's fine. It's all good.
Hey, so as is with this podcast,
Right.
I don't know if you've heard.
Tell me.
So Taylor Swift's
Oh
album
my
dropped.
gosh. We are not talking about
Yes,
this
we
person
are.
again.
Yes, we are.
All
and
right.
I'm going to let you redeem yourself. I got some more quotes together. So this is going to be, you're going to tell me whether this is a quote from your favorite author and theologian, C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
Or Taylor Swift.
Okay, Danielle. The reprise.
Yeah, the reprise.
We did this way back in season 1.
We did. You did okay.
Yeah.
They were kind of tricky. I made them a little bit more obvious this time.
Really?
I don't want you to look so bad. Okay, so you tell me which one. Bonus points for the origin material.
No.
Okay, great. Okay, I think you might know some of them. All right, here's the first one. Softball. We're mirrors whose brightness is wholly derived from the sun.
Well, that's CS.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's CS.
It is. I think that's from your favorite
Till
book.
We Have Faces?
The Four Loves.
Four Loves,
Yeah.
Listen, Till We Have Faces is borrowed a lot from the Four Loves. So a lot of the themes of Till We Have Faces trace their origin back to his exploration of the Four Loves.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the characers in this is not a C.S. Lewis podcast.
That's fine. We can just not do the game. This is great.
No. The
love it.
characters in Till We Have Faces, a lot of them are representing one of the other loves, or
I
they're
need to read that
struggling
again.
throughout the story with these loves.
Okay, yeah.
And ordering the loves. And it's great.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, you put me through the paces on him a while ago, and I just haven't gone back to him.
Yeah. Since I went in Oxford last summer, I'm like a mess.
You're new.
Yeah, I'm way back into it
That's
again.
good.
Yeah.
You're never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream.
That's got to be Taylor Swift.
It's not.
No?
But here's the thing. This was attributed to him after he died.
Interesting.
So I can't find. So I'm like. I think it's like a trick. I'm not sure. I was Googling.
Yeah.
And it shows up on several lists of his.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. The hope of it all keeps me alive.
This is so ludicrous. It's Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it is ludicrous because these are just words people can say.
Right. Anybody can say.
Okay. I have like 6. All right.
Is this new album of hers controversial?
It is.
I've heard some controversy.
It is.
But I have not taken the time, nor will I, to look into it.
Well, let me help you.
Okay.
Okay. So I think it's one of the first times she's released like her normal version and like a non-explicit version. So for me, I'm like, okay, again, I'm not like, I know it seems like I'm some Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah, it really does.
I just bring it up. It just goes with this
because
podcast.
you know it annoys me.
I know it does. But again, like I said before, I'm intrigued by people who like break these molds. It like, always has intrigued me.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, she has the responsibility to the 13-year-olds because they grew up with her and blah, 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 And
so it's the explicitness
I think
of
that's the main thing.
See.
And also, but I was like, for the first time though, she did put out another version.
Okay.
So I'm like, she's kind of nodding to like, okay, I get it. Also, I'm not the parent, but here's the option for if you want to parent your kids. You know?
Right.
But also, I think it's because it's the first one she's released when she's happy.
Oh.
So I think there's a little bit of that, like.
So it doesn't have the angsty edge to it.
Correct.
Wow.
So, but it's got some. It's got some bops.
Okay. All right.
To love at all is to be vulnerable.
That's. Oh wow.
I mean, that was you 2 weeks ago, probably.
Well, that sounds like CS, but yeah, I'm gonna go with CS.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We gather stones, never knowing which of them we'll need someday.
Ooh. That's profound. I want to say it's CS, but I bet it's Taylor Swift.
It is Taylor Swift, and it is profound, and I need you to look into her lyrics because they are actually kind of good.
Danielle, I can't promise that I'm going to do that.
Whatever. Don't let your happiness
That
depend.
reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from Forrest Gump.
Okay. It's a turn. Which one?
When Jenny goes back to her childhood home.
Oh.
Remember Forrest and Jenny?
Stones.
And she goes back to her childhood home, and it's all broken down and abandoned, and she starts picking up rocks and chucking it at the house. And he says, sometimes, this is not the exact quote, sometimes there just are not enough stones.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
Oh.
Anyway, so I didn't mean, not to be a downer.
But no, I mean, it's good. It's good. Don't let your happiness depend on something you may lose.
That's CS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Repeated failures are finger posts on the road to achievement.
If this is another trick, that's got to be Taylor Swift.
It's not.
It's CS.
Yes, from his letters. Finger posts on the road to achievement.
Okay, good. Yeah, I like that one.
The autumn leaves are falling down like pieces into place.
Taylor.
Yes. Okay, two more.
He was very into like
love.
Yeah, but like in environmental stuff, he was very into like him and Tolkien both.
Yeah.
Like into they made characters like in Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe, and certainly in Tolkien stuff, the trees are characters, and like there was very much a lot with like the Blitzkrieg and stuff that was going on at the time, where like there was a bunch of stuff just being destroyed.
Sure.
They felt like the world was being destroyed by bombs.
Oh yeah.
That you can see those themes kind of coming up in both of their writings around that time, because they were they were kind of pushing back against this. We can just destroy this world that we've been given.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh wow.
Anyway,
that's cool.
so the autumn leaves kind of threw me for a minute. But.
Yeah, that's cool. Two more. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending.
Oh wow, that's a little too sing-songy to be CS. That's got to be Taylor.
CS.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow, it felt a little sing-songy.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's the way I read it. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending.
Wow, that's good. I like that.
This is probably the hardest one.
Oh boy.
Okay. You don't know the life of a showgirl, babe, and you're never gonna wanna. Tolkien.
That's
CS. Taylor Swift. Okay, good job. You got most. You got them all. I think you got most of them.
Joy.
You just missed a couple. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
You're getting better.
Okay, I don't know.
I think
about
you've
that.
been studying her on the side.
Of course, I have.
So
with
maybe
all my time.
Someday we'll be able to unwind her story with ours, and it won't always line up so perfectly.
That day cannot come soon enough.
Okay, so as we move into our Reinventing Church segment, we're talking about 11 shifts every church must make to be effective in our current cultural reality. Today we have a kickoff from Shane of Clarity House. Before we get to Shane, I want to introduce Scott. Scott is one of our own here from Grace, Scott Michael, and he is deeply embedded in our pathway around the Build Your Calling section of what we're doing, and that's going to be a really great conversation. He has his own kind of story of being activated through his life experiences and the people that he kind of ran into when he was transitioning out of a job. So that'll be a really cool conversation. Excited to hear from Scott. Before we hear from Scott, let's hear from Shane.
Have you ever used the wrong tool for the wrong job. And you know what I mean? Like, you ever been trying to put a switch plate back on the wall, and you grab a little butter knife to try to turn that tiny little screw, and it kind of slides all over, the knife bends, and you eventually get it in, but it's just hard, Or the other day I was hanging up a picture in our living room, and I couldn't find a hammer, so I grabbed a mag light, and I used the butt end of a mag light to get this nail in, and I got the nail in. It just wasn't very pretty. And the reason I bring that up is because, as I've had some conversations with pastors and leaders from around the country over the last several weeks, one of the common things I hear is that we've got a volunteer problem. We got a volunteer problem, and especially among the younger generation. And I think what I know is true in their hearts is what they're wanting is to activate greater kingdom participation in their people. But I wonder if they're trying to use the wrong tool to do that. I wonder if they're trying to use volunteerism to activate that greater kingdom participation. And maybe it's not that people don't want to volunteer. I mean, maybe it's that volunteering is too small a thing to give one's life to. I don't know that the big kingdom contribution that God had in his mind when he was creating you or me or any of his people was merely just to hold doors open or stack chairs or turn ministry widgets of any kind. I mean, you and I and the people of God were created to carry the weight of eternity in us and to join God in reshaping the future and being a part of what he's up to in this world. And when all we offer people is a slot on the team, it's no wonder at times that it can feel a little hollow, right? I remember this quote from Dr. Kendra Creasy-Dean from Princeton Seminary. I think it's from her book, Practicing Passion. She was talking specifically about young people, but I think this rings true in many other ways as well. She said that young people are looking for something worth dying for because they believe that therein they'll find something worth living for. But all too often, we invite them to serve at the church potluck. It's like asking a warrior to hand out napkins while the battle rages, right? It's like asking someone who wants to cultivate a beautiful garden if they'd just be satisfied and willing with simply filling the watering cans. You see, most people who are part of your church and my church, if they've been a follower of Jesus for even a short period of time, they know what they've been saved from, right? Sin, Satan, and death. They know what they've been saved from, but very few of them know what they've been saved for. And that, my friend, is tragic. When we don't help them discover that, when we reduce kingdom participation to a handful of volunteer positions, I think we strip the adventure out of following Jesus. I think we domesticate the wild beauty of the human spirit that God designed. I mean, think about it. In Ephesians, the Apostle Paul says that if you're in Christ, you're God's workmanship. You're his poema, the word is there, right? It means that you're his living poem, written, scribed by the hand of God, created to bring beauty and courage and love and goodness into the world in ways that no one else can. Paul calls it good works that God has prepared in advance, that he's been dreaming it up in advance for you to do. God's people, they don't exist simply to fill spots. I know you know that, but they exist to write another stanza in the unfolding epic of redemption. And I wonder if all too often as church leaders, we've settled for predictability. My own confession on this as a pastor and a leader is that it's easier to use people to build programs rather than using those programs to build people, right? Have you found that to be true? I mean, I know in my own lead, it's easier to run the program machine than it is to take the steps to unleash a people movement. It's easier to have people take spiritual gifts assessments and then fill a role than it is to risk releasing untamed callings. And don't get me wrong. I mean, gifting is important, right? Spiritual gifting and your wiring and your natural abilities, they're important, but they're just some of the pieces of the puzzle that help make the picture of one's calling more dynamic and more interesting. And I'm not sure when the Holy Spirit was dispensing spiritual gifts that he was thinking, well, here's the gift of teaching. And there's 2 or 3 places that you'll be able to use that in your local church. Here's the gift of evangelism. And so this is going to be able to help you serve on the outreach team. I just wonder if he had a little more imagination in that. And I wonder as leaders, vocational and non-vocational leaders, I wonder if we're not careful, if our missional imagination for God's people can oftentimes be way too small. I've found that when you don't just assimilate people from worship services into small groups or classes and then into volunteerism, but you work to activate their calling, their handcrafted calling for which they were made, it does something in people. Why? Because calling is not just about what you can do. It's about what you must do. It's not just about the gifts you have or the abilities you have, the thing you can do. It's about what you must do. It's the fire in your bones that won't go out. It's the design of your soul intersecting with the destiny of the world in many ways. I define calling this way, or at Clarity House, we define calling this way. It's the place where the depth of your purpose, your divine design, meets or intersects the scope of your influence. It's a place where your story and your passions and your motivated abilities and your gifting, all of that comes together and it meets the scope of your influence, the people and places that God is sending you to be and to bring good news to. And when people awaken to that, they don't need begging or prodding. They often rise up, they run, they create, they fight for beauty and justice and love. And honestly, I think that calling is God's way of saying a few different things to us. I think it's his way of saying, first off, you matter to me. I've deposited some things in you that are of great value that I want you to bring to the world. I think second, it's his way of saying, you belong with me. You're invited to play a unique role in my eternal story. I don't need you, but I want you to be with me and to play this part in this story with me. And third, I think it's God's way of saying, I trust you. I trust you with my mission. I've given you a responsibility. Again, Paul said it was good works that have been set aside. God's saying, I have good works I've set aside for you to do, and I've not really designed these things to be done by anyone else. I've given this holy responsibility to you. And so, my friends, I don't think that volunteerism will ever be enough to awaken the human spirit to play its part in Jesus' great co-mission. But I do believe that activating calling, I believe it does in many ways help to awaken the human spirit in so many ways. Because when the people of God come alive to their divine design, the world doesn't just get better church services. I think it begins to get a glimpse of heaven breaking in.
Oh man, I love the picture that Shane paints there, that when the people of God come alive in their divine design, that the world doesn't just get better church services, it gets a glimpse of heaven breaking in. And that's really what we've been trying to introduce and live out here at Grace. And so we just heard Shane talk about the difference between volunteerism and calling. Yeah. And that's exactly the shift we've been wrestling with, you and I. So welcome, Scott. So good to have you. And maybe just start by talking about a little bit about what that journey's been like for you. How have you been shaped by this idea of calling and purpose and your own story?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it actually starts back at Kalamazoo College when I was an athletic trainer, and we had a big university across the street, Western, because I wanted to get students. And at first I was just like, I just need workers. Got the agreement set up, had them come over, and quickly fell in love with this idea of, oh wow, I really enjoy working with students and helping them discover all that's inside them and starting to put pieces together. Loved every bit of it. We also started talking about purpose and big life kind of stuff. And that carried on over because then it spurned on to me going and becoming a professor, and landed here in Erie at my alma mater. Yeah. And I was like, I've arrived. This is what I want to do. But something started to stir inside me where the things that really fired me up wasn't necessarily teaching the curriculum, but it was like unpacking what was inside the person. Like the tagline, I was just like, listen, you could go to any place. This would be like with parents. I'm like, your kid could go anywhere they want. They could get the education because it's a standardized curriculum, throughout the country. I said, but what we're going to do here that other places aren't doing is we're going to help your son or your daughter figure out who they are, and that's what's going to make them the athletic trainer that is going to separate them. And I
So
didn't.
you were thinking this way.
I was
really,
thinking this way.
You didn't even have a framework for
I
it.
had no framework for it. No.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize God was doing something in me as well. And so as, Heather and I started to plant our roots here and get more involved here at Grace, the more involved I got, my sister actually made the comment. She's like, Scott, the way that you talk. So I came in I was a volunteer lead for our DR partnership. So I'm, leading that trip. The way that you talk about that and those 10 days and what happens on those trips and the way in which you invest in the team members that you go there. She's like, you don't talk like that about being a professor. And so that planted a seed.
Yeah.
And then, you fast forward some time, where I started meeting with you. I don't even remember if you remember this. Started meeting with you, and we started to unpack this journey of like what's on the horizon kind of thing. And I told you, it's like, I just feel like God's telling me I need to start saying no to things because I was involved in way too many things. Mm-hmm. But what it did is it cleared the space to begin to get a sense of his call on my life. Like what you've been doing with athletes, what you've been doing with students, I now want to set you in motion to do for my kingdom in a way that would, blow your mind. And so the whole idea of like, I want you to leave being a professor and I want you to be, a pastor. Yeah. And so here I am.
You did it. And listen, you were the hardest person that I've ever recruited into ministry. Not because you were difficult, but because I know how much you had invested in that life. Like you had your PhD, you're a professor, you're head of a department, you're rising the ladder in that academic space. Yeah. And like it was deep breath for me too. Just like, man, that's a lot to leave to become a pastor at a local church. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm thrilled that God was paving the way for that. And it's really amazing to think about the sacrifice, honestly, of all of that history, all of that backstory that you made to step into this role.
And I appreciate that. It was a preparation for. Yeah. And so that's the thing that really grabs me when I think back and I look back at all the faces that have come across, of my time as a clinician and as a professor of just like, man, you knew what you were doing, God, and setting all that up. And so it's a wild ride.
I admire your obedience in the most radical obedience, really. And again, you can say that you look back and it's preparation. Yeah. You can see that in the rearview mirror, but you don't necessarily see that at the time.
True.
And at the time it was a big step. So I'm really thrilled you took it because we get to be partners in crime here for the kingdom, which is really fun. So I love working on this stuff with you. And I think, your story, and again, for those listening and to think about kind of what we're up to here when it comes to activation, trying to move our people toward activation is, you think about that story and go, okay, you left the kind of the education space and found your calling in full-time ministry. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that we acknowledge that that's not always the way it goes and that calling is not the same as full-time church ministry. In fact, we both have a friend who was called out of full-time church ministry and into the business space, and he left church ministry in order to step into his calling. And so this doesn't always work the same way. And I guess in just thinking about that, because we've been both working in this handcrafted calling space. And so we both actually have classes that are finishing up right now of people who are discovering their two-word calling and putting legs to that. So what are some of the unique challenges in helping people to process their calling, especially in a non-church space? Yeah. Because we're really encouraging people, like, being called doesn't mean that you just come work at the church. Being called, you can be called to be in whatever room you're in. So talk about like some of your experience with that.
So here's the challenge. there's a certain construct that you can operate inside the walls. So you look for certain gifts and abilities. You look for certain spiritual gifts. You know the kind of makeup the right combination of things that you're looking for different roles within the church, because it's a model that's produced a really good result by saying, okay, if we put A and B, we're going to get C kind of thing. When you flip it and you do what our friend did and said, well, I'm going to leave, I'm going to do this. Well, now you've got 30,000 different flavors of expression that can take. And that's probably a short-sighted number.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to do then is you don't know what C looks like.
Right.
You don't know what C looks like. You're trying to help them identify what A and B look like, and then understand, like, okay, well, we don't know what a plumber or a tradesman or an electrician or a business leader or a government, we don't know what their workplace looks like.
Right.
We don't know what their environment that they're in. So that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So our formula doesn't work.
The formula doesn't work, and so we're trying to figure out what's the new formula look like.
Yeah.
And that's fun and exciting, and it's also overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so you and I've talked about the benefit of going and visiting people at their spaces, at their environment, because I think that there's gold in there.
Right. Well, and I also think, we've talked about one of the biggest hurdles I think one of the first hurdles, let's put it that way, that people need to overcome is just connecting the dots between their workspace or their neighborhood or their gym that they work out in or their book club and integrating their faith into that. And so one of the things we've found is just people aren't really even thinking about that. Mm-mm. And so when you talk about that, like visiting someone in their place of work or visiting somebody in their neighborhood and walking around their neighborhood with them or something like that, all of a sudden we're helping to connect the dots for them just by our presence.
Correct.
I'm just going, oh, wait, this is a spiritual space too.
Yeah.
This isn't just the place where my business makes money. Like this is a mission field where God has me. And I think working to connect those dots is a real important part of what we're talking about.
They're the experts in their space.
That's right, yeah.
What we try to bring is what you just said, connecting the experts in their space to their faith.
Yeah.
And what they can bring in that space.
Has anything surprised you as you watch people start to get this or watch people start to live out their calling?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I expected the aha moments. I expected the connecting of dots. I think the thing that I didn't expect was the emotion behind it. And what I mean by that is you see it. So you see kind of like build to like, okay, there's a light bulb. I saw the light bulb on that. You start to hear some rumblings of like, oh, I connected this exercise to this experience. I think I'm getting a little closer. And then when it all kind of comes together at, towards the revelation of things, it's almost like the cork like literally pops off and it billows out of them in a way that what I think is actually there's like a spiritual awakening to the calling that God is, that special calling that God's in play. And I think it's absolutely emotionally overwhelming. And I get so emotional. I know I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
But I get taken under with the emotion. Yeah. It's just
Yeah, I would echo that. And just so people know, like, I'll give you a little bit of a taste of the course. I mean, we're walking through people some assessments of how God has made them. We're walking people through a little bit of their life story. And so what experiences has he brought them through? We're walking people through what does their name mean? What are some of the passions that they have? What are some of the abilities that they have that God's given them? And so there's a discovery process. Yeah. And then the class kind of turns outward and go, who are the people around you? What are the places around you that God has called you into? But yeah, as you're describing that, I'm thinking about lots of tears as we get into those, people looking back in the rearview mirror of their life and going, man, God brought me through that so that I could do this. Mm-hmm. Or God had me go through this tough experience so that he could bring this beautiful experience. And I think when, again, everybody lives their life story, not many people interpret it, is that what we talk about? Yeah, exactly.
Just going to say that.
So when you start interpreting it, when you start looking back at it through God's eyes and then go, oh, what were you trying to do? And here's what you might be trying to do going forward. Mm-hmm. Man, that aha moment that you describe can be very emotional.
Totally.
You know, because they're getting it. And this thing that caused me so much pain, oh my gosh, God can use it.
Yeah.
You know,
we're creating a space for them to have the permission to look backward so that they then can move forward.
Yeah.
And like you said, not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I got a question for you. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
So historically, Grace has modeled the assimilation funnel, right? Come attend.
Yeah.
Let's get you connected,
Yeah.
and then let's get you into serving inside the walls. And we've been developing this multiplication funnel. I don't know what is the idea of called, trained, sent. Talk about, because you've been here for a while. You've lived the assimilation. You're obviously leading the charge on this thing. Talk about the impact of the shift on our ability to activate people in that space when we've been doing it the other way for so long.
Yeah. It is a big mind shift because part of the thing is in an assimilation funnel, you're always thinking big to small. So get as many people, attract as many people into the room as possible. And then a certain percentage of those are going to take a next step. And then a certain percentage of those are going to take a next step. So the funnel goes from big to small.
Yeah.
The shift for me has been in a multiplication funnel, the funnel goes from small to big. And my temptation is to keep coming back to, let's get 200 people in the room and teach the Handcrafted calling class to everybody. Right. And then a few of them will take another step. And instead going, no, let's limit these groups to 12 or 15 and start small, activate. So part of it is just the calculation of the whole thing in my brain feels backwards, but I think it's absolutely right. You look at what Jesus did. He started very small. And, even all of the metaphors that Jesus used about the kingdom, the mustard seed, the yeast and the bread, there's a little bit that's going to grow and grow and a seed in the ground, And so, I think just the mental shift, but I also think there's a slow burn effect with our congregation too, of just like, moving from, part of the unspoken expectation of an assimilation funnel is it's all about that person. So it's all about making you feel comfortable. You move to part of and there's self-sacrifice in serving. So it's not all about you, but it's about kind of catering this thing to you being part of the family. The shift of activation is going, it's actually about the people that you're called to reach. Yeah. Like that there's a mission field around you that, and all of a sudden the focus shifts from, am I getting everything I want to from this church to, oh my goodness, this church is asking me to go be a missionary wherever I am. And so that process, not only for me, but I think for our church is going to be a slower, but here's what I would say. The people who are coming through these experiences with us, the light bulbs go off and it's like, then it's not even us convincing them of anything. They're going, how can I not do this?
How can I not tell others?
Yeah.
About
I mean, this is who
amazingness?
God made me to be.
Yeah.
I've got to go be this everywhere I am, And so I feel like when there's the right kind of training and impetus, I think we're getting at it.
Yeah. That's really good. That's really, really good. So, when you look at our current processes that we've got going on, and you talked about like the mindset shift, I wanted to touch on that from like the volunteer staff perspective, because I think over time we've become pretty good at running the plays, running the right programs. So if we run the plays, build the right programs, the byproduct in that is we get people in the spaces that are here within the walls, kind of thing. That's assimilation in a condensed version, in a condensed way. Activation for me, I think from a staff standpoint and even from a volunteer standpoint that we've had to rethink a little bit is activation isn't about plays or programs. It's about purpose and influence.
Right.
And when you watch some of our staff try to think through that, the default is, but if we just, what's the right play to run to do that? And we have to fight. I mean, we've talked about it in spaces. We have to fight against the urge to like, if we create a whole bunch of new programs and plays for outside the walls and we default to that and we lose sight of the fact that we're developing people to identify their calling and their purpose and where they're supposed to influence in the space, it's not
Right.
going to work. It'll implode on itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is, like, we just don't have structure built for that.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had the imagination, to think about even just how to staff. How do you staff a church like that? Because it is controlled chaos. Like it's how do we give enough support that people feel supported, but not too much that they feel controlled.
Yeah.
Because the idea is not that we're controlling everything they do. The idea is to try to pour gas on the fire of what God's already doing in their life, but not so much gas that it blows the place up. So I think it's partially just like, what does it even look like for the church to support these folks that are living it out?
Yeah.
I know we used the thing early on about like, I just forgot what I was going to say. What would it look like if we treated these people like they were our campus pastors, our site pastors?
Yeah.
And so people who are running a Christian business, or people who are running a nonprofit, or people who are, leading in their marketplace, or people who are shepherding their neighborhood or whatever, for us to go, what if we don't need a staff to do that? What if those people are our staff?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
And what would that mean for how we need to rethink or change how we think about staff meetings, or how we think about tools that we, all of that stuff. So I just feel like we're in the middle of that, like, process creation, and what do we do with all of that? So, listen, so I'm going to throw it back to you. You kept it in my court for a minute. So you've had a front row seat to people who are getting activated. Okay. So again, we're talking assimilation to activation. How do you know when that's kind of taken hold?
Yeah.
When they get it, what does it look like?
Yeah. So my short answer, and then I'll expand on it, is when it goes from paper to pavement. And what I mean by that is, you walk through it, you name what it is, you do all the process, and until that, at that point, it's literally just two words on a paper that you've identified as this special calling. It becomes real. It activates when you start watching people walk it out in the spaces that they've identified. Yeah. It's like, that's my place of influence. And with the people that they've recognized that God's put in front of them to influence. And when you see that happen, that, I believe, is when you start to, like, okay, it's grabbed hold. It's not just two words on a piece of paper. Yeah. This person's walking it out.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I think, what's been wild for me is just seeing the different kinds of people who are coming to this course with us. And I'm sure you're experiencing, but like that, their individual stories of, like, even their people in place story. Like, so we've got a woman that's like, literally my life right now is taking care of my mom, who's in a nursing home, who's got her days are numbered. And like, that's become my whole world, and my family, and helping the staff there or whatever. And for her to name her calling, and for a person who's got job interviews around the country for major job opportunities that's going to literally impact tens of thousands of lives, watching him work through his calling, and those guys are sitting next to each other at a table.
It's a wild experience,
isn't it?
It's such a wild experience, and it feeds off it. That's the I should have mentioned that earlier. That's the other fun thing that I didn't expect, to watch the influence of someone's aha moment have a ripple effect on someone else's aha moment, or it spurs that on, and it's spot on.
And it's so beautiful to think about the body of Christ, and to think about the different. A lot of people think calling is something that's reserved for, the really influential people, or just the pastors and missionaries, and, like that class of people. And to watch calling and activation be embodied by all sorts of people in all sorts of situations. It's this realization that it's not reserved for, a few. This is something that we all can step into and live into. And I've seen such value in naming it. And, Yeah.
It's really good. So you've been a leader in the church for a while. I love the fact that I get to ask you questions.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
we're
so
kind
much
of
fun.
vibing.
Yeah, it's good. It's got a good vibe going. So what would you say to leaders listening who might be in a church who wants to explore more of this activation model that we've been talking about? Like, where would you tell them to start?
Yeah, I think for pastors and church leaders, probably I have two things to say. The first thing I would say is we need to ramp up our curiosity. And we need to get curious about the people that God has brought to us. You know, I've said for a long time, God's an expert at making churches. He knows how to make churches. And so he's made yours incredibly intentionally. And he's brought your church the people that he wants to be there right now. And so I think that's a mandate on church leaders to go, okay, well, I better get curious about these people that are my people that God's brought us. And so, you know, I think sometimes we can look through such a one-sided lens at the people that are in our church and go, what can they do for us, or what can they do for the church, instead of getting curious about who has God made them to be. You know, we have a simple tool that we use in this area that says, you know, how has God made me, or what has God given me, and where has God placed me, kind of thing. And I think even just asking those two questions of our folk, like, what has God given you? And get curious about their gifts and their skills and their experiences and, you know, the stuff that they've come through. And then where has God placed you? And to let them just riff on that question of like, what are your spheres of influence? And most people are, oh, no, nowhere. Oh, no. You live somewhere. You probably work somewhere. You work, you know, you have hobbies somewhere or whatever, like you have spaces. And so I think just getting curious with our people, we've learned that people are not naturally connecting the dots. And so part of the job, I think, of church leaders is to help people connect the dots of their faith to their real lives. And how do those things interplay? And so I think that question, like what has God given you? Where has God placed you? Is a good place to start. That's really good. The second thing I will say, and we're going to give a little bit of detail about this later, there is an opportunity for all of the listeners here to jump into Clarity House's next Handcrafted cohort, where they can experience it themselves. And actually, because Dave and Shane are so cool,
Yeah, they are.
This is
cool.
episode 34. And so they're giving a 34% discount for anybody who wants to jump into that thing. So I know Danielle's going to give us the details in a minute, but I would encourage people to experience Handcrafted. This thing that we're talking about, that we're taking our people through, is available to everybody.
That's awesome.
And so if people want to check it out, you can get a license for your church and kind of you own it, and then can take as many people through it as you want. We've seen the benefit of it.
And it's still early stage.
It's early stage, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
We've taken probably, 60 or 80 people through it over the last couple of years, and it's just, the impact is crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So part of, what we described earlier as we think about this multiplication funnel and controlled, it's like a beautiful chaos that we're experiencing right now. How, Scott?
Okay. Yeah.
I've been here for 30 years. I need your help. How do you think we can lead well through this chaos?
Yeah, good. That's good. Yeah.
I need your wisdom.
Okay. So I think the first lesson is not trying to eliminate it.
Chaos.
Don't eliminate the chaos. I think instead of eliminating it, create clarity, create calm around it, and maybe even conviction within it. So so I think there's a couple ways that you do that. I think, we talk all the time about the importance of clarifying the why. I think anchoring people in purpose is really important. You do a really good job of constantly casting vision and connecting change to who we are and our DNA as a church. Like that is just, even back when I was just a congregant, not even on staff, just constantly pointing back to who we are and our DNA. I talked about just the idea of communicating constantly, and being honest. Like when you don't know
what we know and what we don't know,
we say we don't know, and I think that actually helps lower the pressure valve. And people are just like, "Where are we going? What are we doing?" And we're just like, "We don't know." Oh, okay, well, if you don't know, then maybe I should not worry so much about not knowing. Yes, create stability where you can. what I think the thing that maybe we've stumbled into is trying to keep things familiar where we need to keep them familiar. That's been a really eye-opening experience. So there are some things that we've just said we're going to continue operating as is because we know it's working. Yes, could we build on it and develop it? Sure, but it's working right now. If we do everything, then we're adding to the chaos, and that's not a healthy thing to do. So create stability. You've said this, care for people, not just the plan. That's super essential because change always creates like this loss of identity, routines, and comfort. So I think naming the loss out loud, super important. Checking in personally with, our people, I think is a really intentional thing that we've been doing. And the other thing I think that probably we could probably even continue to get better at is like giving space for people to grieve so that then they can grow from it.
Wow.
I think that's been, a lesson in just watching some of the staff go through. And then I'd say the last thing is just courageously modeling adaptability is something that you've said yourself. I could easily have ridden into the sunset on this thing. But, at this stage of the game, you've modeled adaptability in that, and being the calm in the storm, your posture in that has set the tone for all of us to follow. So that would be my last one: courageously model adaptability.
That's cool.
So
That's
you can
cool.
take that and like make
I mean,
it into a book.
I didn't need all that glow up at the end, but I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's very nice. Thanks for being here, Scott.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
I love doing this with you, dude. And I'm so thankful for the call of God on your life and that you answered it and were obedient, because it means we get to do this together. And I really just treasure that.
Amen,
so
dude.
I love you, dude.
Love you too.
Appreciate it.
Later.
Hope it's helpful.
Yep.
So let's move on to our behind the curtain segment here. This is just where we every week just we want to talk about something that's literally happening.
Yep.
Usually it's connected, sometimes it's not, but it's all in this reinventing wheel in some way, shape, or form.
And sometimes it's philosophical, and sometimes it's a very, 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 very small.
Correct.
But not small, but like granular.
Granular. Yeah, this is a granular one.
Yeah.
But I think it points to more. So just a little texture. We, in our service flow, forever and ever and ever, because we have video venues, we have broadcasts, we have a live preaching venue, we have video content that we're filming, and we film we call it a bumper, but it's like a 10 to 15 second, sometimes 30-second
video preview, promo.
Yeah, it's like part of the promo that we use for the sermon series.
Right.
So in the attractional days, as the pastor's walking up, the lighting's changing, that's going, getting people recalibrated to what we're learning about, and then off goes the preacher. Video feels natural. It's just almost just a lead in to the video that you're going to watch.
Yeah, we need that 15-second kind of like transition.
Yeah.
To get people's brain back into the series we're in, and what we're doing with the message that week.
And in the video room, it helps because I think it allows that room to not have to wind up or down to the tone of the preaching. Yeah. They can do what needs to be done in the room because they're live in the room, and then you pivot. Yeah. So it helps break that up. But talk a little bit about, you kind of brought up in a meeting the difference between having the bumper in the video room and having a bumper live where you are most of the time. Oh, obviously you're live all the time.
I'm live all the time.
All the time.
I am. I'm 100% in person all the time for myself.
For yourself. Yeah. As are most of us.
Right. So I was just feeling, really, it's been for a while now. It's been since we started talking about these shifts, but I kind of just didn't say it because I know there's a lot of work that goes into these things. It's weird to kind of be the person who's like, hey, I don't value that anymore, or something like that. But but for a little bit, it's been feeling weird to have the bumper in the rooms that I'm in. It feels almost like this kind of grand, here he comes, and there's this,
like
the lights are down, and all the music's playing, and then there I am ready to preach for the day. And I think both from like a what's been going on in the rest of the service component, but also kind of what's going on in the world. Like there's a bunch of things kind of coming into that. And so, we've had some like prayer moments recently and all that kind of stuff. And it just started to feel too snappy.
Yeah.
Joey,
Yeah.
something like that for when I'm live in the room.
Yeah.
And so we just talked about a meeting last week. We were talking about some sermon planning and just, I kind of brought it up, and it was amazing how many other people around the room were kind of feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, that it does feel, especially when when it's real peppy and, maybe we've just come out of a prayer moment or something like that we added in. And so we just decided to take it out and let people watch the awkward moment in silence when, I'm bringing up my podium or somebody's bringing up my podium and I'm walking up and turning my microphone on and opening my Bible and getting ready for the message. And, so we did that one time without and again, this is going to sound weird to some people that, we've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
But it was better.
Yeah.
It was better.
Yeah.
So, and it allows me to set mood one way or the other. I feel like I've got a little bit of more freedom in the moment to
makes
like
sense.
and like even at 11 o'clock I stood up and just didn't plan to say it, but like the worship was really profoundly powerful and I kind of just stood up and said, the Spirit of God is here. Like God's Spirit is in this place with us right now, and He's been working on hearts and preparing hearts, whatever. And it was like that. Those are moments that I didn't totally feel like come after a. I mean, I could say them, and I have said them.
Done. Yeah.
But it like once that bumper goes, it feels like you just got to get right into your content because the setup's already there, kind of thing. And so, I think just being able to kind of call out what's going on in the room, something I haven't done in a long time.
Yeah,
when
cool.
I stand up for a sermon, and it was good.
I think it was interesting. Like you said, how many people agreed with you. And I don't know if it's probably different for everybody. If it's just like a routine, used to it, keep it rolling, nothing's wrong. Or if it's like a not wanting to mess with things that feel kind of sacred, which that would never be something that would be on a list of ours that would have been like, this is a sacred cow or something like that.
No.
But things become, I think, comfortable,
Right. Yeah.
And for a lot of us, and again, like you said, this is going to sound weird. For a lot of us, it takes intentionality to not be annoyed to watch you lumber up like you're not some idiot.
No,
but it's like you're like walking up there, I'm explaining it the way that I'm feeling it. Like you're just being a normal
getting
human.
your notes together,
you're walking, opening your Bible. It's like, what am I? I'm some like
setting up my iPad stand.
I'm like a toddler. Like I have to be entertained. Like while you're doing like it.
Right.
If I really think about it, it's really sick. But like, it was an exercise for me to be like, okay, these can be, and just what you're saying, like these can actually be beautiful moments or set up beautiful moments. Or like, you could walk up there and not get ready and talk about something else for a minute. Or like, we kind of stopped that momentum and didn't really realize we were doing that, I don't think.
Yep. And I think it is you said it, but it's an exercise in falling into patterns.
Right.
Without giving them much thought.
Right.
And, I think we can all do that from time to time with different things. Like there's people listening to this, they're like, oh yeah, we don't have a sermon bumper. That's dumb. We would have never done that. But it's like, are there patterns that you fall into that you haven't thought about in a while that maybe are worth calling out?
Yeah.
Saying, why do we do that again?
We recently did it with the announcements too.
Yeah.
We were really like, especially in our region, and I mean, maybe in a wide region, the first church to really use technology to do announcements, like in a communication strategy.
Yep.
And so we've done it forever.
Ever.
And it's helpful, especially if you have multiple venues and whatever, and you can like let people not worry about it. Like the last thing I want you to worry about is doing a 30-second announcement about some class that's coming up or whatever.
Yep.
And so keeps it consistent, don't have to worry about it, but it is a different feel. You can't necessarily curate announcements to fit into a service flow that will necessarily feel correct.
Right.
Because you don't know what's going to go on in the moment. So we've also moved, that's another video component that we moved more toward the beginning. We're experimenting with that right now. So that was kind of another, like, got into a rhythm of just like, do the
right
worship.
in the middle of the service.
Break it with the announcements. Yeah, break it with the announcements, do giving, do the bumper, do the sermon. So we're blowing that whole thing up, which is cool.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see in a couple months, like what people think and what kind of shifts will happen.
And the interesting pushback, it's interesting to make changes like that, because the interesting pushback is, well, if we put announcements at the beginning, all the people that come late are not going to see the announcements.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so would we rather have all the people that come late not participate in worship?
Yeah, right.
It's like
You're
we're
choosing
something.
Yeah.
And almost, I'd rather have them miss the announcements than worshop.
I
or
really
the
can't
first
speak
song.
out loud to that because it's my profession. But
I know it is.
I understand the sentiment
You know
of that
what I
for
mean?
sure.
And again, I think that's those are the points of conversation that I think we have to come to is to go, okay, yeah. And are we basing our decisions around the people that are coming late for worship? Right. Like, I'm not a big fan. That's like do we negotiate with terrorists?
Time terrorists. It's true. It's true. We'll just start calling them that.
Yeah.
For the time terrorists that were late today. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Okay, so that's us. We're just super granular thing, but I think it helped me think again about just what you said. What not just on Sunday, but like what are the things that we're
in patterns.
We're just in patterns and don't even think about it.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to some tips and tools. Derek, you want to talk about the My Impact tool along with some other things with Handcrafted?
Yeah, so people may or may not know that listen to the podcast. So Clarity House, we're partnering with them this whole season. But I had the privilege of, and in fact, David Lovelace, our guest today, the two of us and Clarity House partnered together to create this Handcrafted calling curriculum. The deliverable of that class is that people walk away having named their 2-word calling and also identified the people and places that they feel like their calling is meant to be lived out in this season of their life.
Can you give an example? Right. Like, give me like 3 2-word callings like that you've heard come through.
Yeah. So, mine, I'll just give you mine. Mine is unlocking potential. And so, and again, this comes as a result of doing lots of internal work, lots of like, how has God made me? What kind of experiences have I come through? Kind of curating all of that information together and then just going, I want to boil that down into 2 words. And then we boil it back out into 12 words. And so that it's almost like a calling statement. But the 2-word thing is what has really stuck. Yeah. And the thing that the 2-word thing does is I know that whatever room I walk into, whatever conversation I find myself in, whatever group of people I'm in front of, God put me on the planet to unlock potential. And so whether it's with my kids at a dinner table, whether it's standing in front of a church on a Sunday to preach, whether it's having a podcast with you right now, like the reason God placed me here is to unlock potential in people. Good. And so we've just found such value in like putting words to it and naming what this thing is, because then you can carry it with you. So that's one of the deliverables of the class. We're teaching 3 of these classes right now, and it's amazing, Danielle, to see the people who, there's somebody who's retired and like their main focus of their life right now is taking care of their aging mother in a nursing home or whatever. Sure. And they're working through it all the way to, we've got a person that's interviewing for college presidency jobs and saw this come up and goes, I'm in a moment of my life where I'm getting ready to embark on something new. I want to go through this calling thing and just nail it down. Yeah. And it's going to help me. And the feedback from both of those kinds of people has been overwhelming, bring me to tears, overwhelming to say, you have no idea how much this has helped me. So anyway, that's cool. That thing for us is part of our dream disciple role that we're calling embedded influencer. We're helping our people to understand you're an embedded influencer wherever you are. This calling process is going to help people to name what their influence actually is in those spaces. Well, we created kind of a baby step tool to help in that, if somebody can't take the 6-week calling class, we just call this thing the My Impact tool. And it asks really the main 2 questions that Handcrafted answers, but it does it in a much simpler, quicker way. And that is just, what has God given me and where has God placed me? What has God given me? Where has God placed me? And so we can get as broad or specific with those questions as we want, but what has God given me can go to like, what are the abilities? What are the capabilities? What are the my life histories? What are the core values? What are the passions? What has God given me that he wants to use in me? And then where has he placed me? Yeah. And, we've talked a lot about live, work, learn, play. Like, where has God put me right now to live out this calling that's on my life. And so, the question that I love around this whole thing is the question that God asked Moses at the burning bush, when Moses is starting to make all kind of excuses and I can't do it and find somebody else. And do you know my brother Aaron? And,
I love that part. You saw this guy. This guy?
And God asks this question. He goes, "What's in your hand?" And it was a staff, and he throws it down, turns it into a stake, picks it up, turns it back. But that moment becomes for Moses a moment where he realizes it's not my power that's going to get this done. It's God's power. But God will use what's in your hand.
Yeah.
And so even if it's just a normal staff, God can do whatever he wants with that. He can turn it into it. And so I just think that question of like, what's in your hand? What has God given you? And where has God placed you? And so we're going to include that My Impact tool as part of the my email distribution list for podcast listeners. And so so they can just see what we're talking about there.
It's a great tool.
Yeah, it really is.
Great tool.
And on speaking of Handcrafted, we're going to do a special thing for Handcrafted. Some of you might know that Handcrafted is being offered. Oh, I lost my notes here.
Oh, that's right. You guys are doing, Clarity House is launching a cohort in January, and there's one in February. Right. And the cohort does what?
So the cohort, it takes leaders through the Handcrafted class so that they could potentially take Handcrafted back to their
So you basically get like
church organization,
certified in leading it.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, you basically go through it yourself, and it opens the door for you to kind of get access to the material.
Super cool.
To teach your own setting.
That's awesome. And Dave and Shane from Clarity House, they want to give a 34% discount because this is episode 34.
34. See what we did there?
Yeah.
Yep.
So for any church leader who wants to check it out, get in there, kick the tires, try to figure out what Handcrafted is, or if it could be useful for your congregation, which, spoiler alert, it will be.
Yeah, it will be.
But you need to register by November 30th. So by the time this drops, you just have a couple weeks to register, a few weeks to register. So go ahead and do that. And then, we'll get you that discount in the show notes. You'll have that there.
34% discount is really great.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so the link will be in the show notes, and the link will be at my website as well.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. Yep. All right. Great. I think that's it for today. If you like this episode, you can tell us by leaving a rating or review. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. As always, we encourage you to help a friend by sharing this with someone that you think would benefit from it. You can find those discount codes, the tool, detailed show notes, and related resources over at dereksanford.com/reinventing church. And that's also where you can subscribe to that weekly newsletter that he was talking about earlier. All right. I think that's it for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.